Time for us to look at issues from the global perspective and give you very balanced analysis as we delve into very strategic happenings across the globe and, of course, in Nigeria specifically. We know that today is one of the historic days of 2024 as President Bola Ahmed Tinubu did a joint presentation of the 2025 budget to the National Assembly. And I will be looking at keenly what this budget would represent for the good people of Nigeria. 49.7 trillion naira budget. It's tagged the restoration budget, securing peace and building prosperity for the great country Nigeria. And I will be looking at other issues of national interest as we look at key issues. We'll be taking you to Edo State, where the PDP is kicking over the suspension of 18 local government chairmen from the PDP party in that state, owing to their disobedience to the governor, the substantial governor of Edo State, talking about Senator Monday Okpeholo. I'll also be looking at the food crisis in Nigeria as we look at issues making the rounds. Also be looking at the call by the new Ohanaeze Ndigbo leader who is seeking for the release of Nnamdi Kanu. He is talking about the newly elected President General of Ohanaeze Ndigbo worldwide, Fidelis Chukwu, who has called on the Nigerian government to release Nnamdi Kanu. So he spoke during an inaugural meeting with the National Executive Committee of the Igbo Socio-Cultural Organization in Enugu. So we'll be looking at how big that task is for him to push further for the release of the detained IPOB leader. We'll also be looking at the issue of issues making the rounds across the southeast, which has led to the very bad shape of the entrepreneurs in the southeast region as regards the sit-at-home phenomenon of every Monday. We'll be looking at the issue of dormant companies in Nigeria as the Corporate Affairs Commission, CAC, deregistered about 300,000 firms in 2024. That's a very large amount of dormant companies to be deregistered. We'll be looking at the implications of that and why were these companies dormant. That's one of the key questions we'll be asking this evening as we look at issues making the rounds. Like I told you, we'll be going to Edo State to look at what the 18 local government chairmen did wrong for them to be kicked out of or suspended from office. All right, my guest on today's edition will be the reviewed Nigeria 360 global president in the person of model Jeffrey Olu Abidoye, who will be joining us via Zoom. We'll go for a quick break. When we return from the break, we'll be hitting the discuss button as we look at all these issues making the rounds. Stay with us. All right, welcome back. It's now time for us to look at issues hitting the discuss button. We've got as my guest as Abidoye, talking about model Jeffrey Olu Abidoye, who is the global president of Rebuild Nigeria 360, joining us via Zoom to look at these issues making the rounds. Good evening, Jeffrey Abidoye. Thank you for joining us on the desk. All right, we'll be looking at issues as regards on the foreign scene. Russia's security service says they've detained a 29-year-old man from Uzbekistan who has been detained over the killing of a senior general, talking about Igor Krylov and his assistant in Moscow. The Lieutenant General Igor Krylov, head of a nuclear biological chemical defense forces, was outside his residential block early on Tuesday when an explosive device hidden in a scooter was detonated remotely, and the Russian security service said the unnamed suspect was recruited by Ukrainian intelligence, according to state media agencies. And Ukraine security service had already claimed it was behind the killing of that top Russian officer. So that issue is one of the issues we'll be looking at on the foreign scene, the detaining of the Uzbekistan citizens, the implication of that, how it's going to cause some rift between Russia and Uzbekistan owing to the actions of that young man. We'll also be looking at other issues. Like I did tell you, the House of Representatives has launched an investigation into the non-delivery of 2,000 tractors and 100 combined harvesters promised by President Bola Tinubu in 2023. The equipment valued at $70 million and 2.98 billion naira were to be delivered under the Presidential Food Security Initiative and the Renewed Hope Agricultural Mechanization Drive. The House decision to probe this initiative followed a motion moved by Sabah Adam APC Kwara on Tuesday during plenary. In his motion, Adam noted that the farm equipment had not been delivered, stressing the need to investigate the entire procurement process. All right, that's Sabah there talking about the need to investigate that matter. All right, we've been joined via Zoom by Jeffrey Olu Abidoye, who is the Global President of Rebuild Nigeria 360. Abidoye, thank you for joining us on the desk.
For having me, Anthony. Good evening, everybody. Good evening, Nigerians. Thank you for having me. Good evening, Anthony. Good evening, our viewers.
All right, let's look at the issues. Let's begin from Russia, where the Russian security has said they have arrested a 29-year-old Uzbekistan man who's been accused of killing Kirillov, talking about the top Russian general who was killed outside his home via a scooter that was already laced with an explosive. How do you see this playing out in terms of the bilateral relationship between Russia and Uzbekistan, because it's been Ukraine has already claimed they are the ones that carried out that attack?
Well, thank you so much. It's just unfortunate that it's often said that what goes around comes around. It's a big loss. It's a minus, very huge one to the Russian, particularly at this point in time that they are in the middle of this prolonged war, with Ukraine, which is an unprovoked war, avoidable war, and that the Russian, under Putin, has been waging against Ukraine in the last almost 3 years running right now. Whether the boy was arrested, I think he said he's about 29 years old or whatever. Whether he's arrested or not, there's a proverb that a knife cut a child's hand and then you drop the knife. Of what benefit? The deed has been done already. That's a big blow. It's quite unfortunate because Yoruba equally would say, when a child says his mother will not sleep, the child himself will neither sleep nor slumber, because it is an unimaginable and underrated war. Russians believe by now they will have dust and finish with Ukraine within 1 year or 6 months or thereabout. Little did they know that this war will prolong to the level it is. from my personal analysis and opinion, I stand to be corrected. It is becoming an embarrassing situation to Russia for the small Ukraine to be able to engage them with the backing of NATO and the US and allies, and then so many of the European countries backing, Ukraine on this matter. And that's why this has prolonged. They have been losing quite a number of, their soldiers before now. It diminished to a point that they were losing strength seriously, that they have to beg and beckon on their unholy alliance in North Korea that has to supply them some numbers of troops and all that to be able to match up somehow. So for me, I believe that no sinner will go unpunished. The so-called general that was Kirillov that was bombed or was killed as a result of detonated, device. I believe that one way or the other, he's paying or he has paid for the sins that he has committed. Do you know how many lives that he took? Because before now, I think the last 2 weeks, you will recall that Ukraine alleged and accused Russia of using chemical weapons to weaken their soldiers and so many other things. Though Russian, denied that. But we discovered that from all indication that that's exactly what has been happening. And so I just believe that little did they know that, they could be caught pants down in this kind of order. So I don't see any much negative impact between the bilateral relation between Uzbekistan and Russia, because it is an individual thing. It is not the country now that sent the ball. It is the intelligence, directorate of Ukraine that actually recruited that boy. Sources has it that they pledged him or they promised him about $100,000, and then they would take him, to any of European countries after, the deal is done. For me, it is a perfectly done, a job from the Ukraine angle, because shortly after that bomb was detonated, Ukraine claimed that they were behind it and they didn't hide it and so many other things and all that. So I know that it's a big blow to Russia, particularly for such, a high-level, high-profile general that is so special, So this is my assessment as far as that is concerned.
Okay, on the final note on that matter, do you think this might also make it more difficult for Donald Trump to broker a truce when he's sworn into power? The fact that now Ukraine is beginning to make incursions into Russia and carry out very deadly and strategic strike at Russia's top figures and also strategic facilities. What does this tell us in terms of Ukraine's embodiment as this war surges on?
Well, it is often said too in Yoruba parlance that if a dog has the backing of a big personality or hunter or hero, he can engage anybody on a debate. He can engage monkey or any lion anytime, any day. And so for Ukraine that is small in size, for Ukraine that is small in stature, for Ukraine that is small in weaponry, and then the number of troops, the national troops they get, it is an underrated, estimation on the part of Russia. They were thinking within 3 months they would just pick them and then overrun them and take them over and annex the place again. Little did they know that the matter would drag on like this. You will know that even when Donald Trump was not elected, he's on the side of the Ukrainian side, and so coming on board now, by the time probably he's sworn in, maybe sometimes early next year, of course we can predict the direction it's going to go. It's not comfortable with Russia. He see Russia as too aggressive. You see that war, that Russia embark on as needless and so many other things. So you can be rest assured that he will put, the support of America. You will recall that the major backer in terms of funding, in terms of financial and war, equipment to NATO and to Ukraine is, United States of America. So, and I don't see, before now, it is the crisis of confidence, the crisis of ego between the old USSR, Russia, and between United States of America that scattered and then, break, the mightiness and the greatness of Russia then to what it is today. And that, unhealthy rivalry and has always been there. So I don't see when Trump is sworn in, I don't see him deviating from that. All right, it might not give as much in terms of support and all this and other like Biden gave, but I don't see him moving away from that completely. He's going to be at the back of the, because even after this election, before the election and after the election, the Ukrainian president has been hobnobbing. He has visited Trump even after the election to congratulate him, and then I believe that they have discussed. There's an agreement in principle and what have you. So I know that Trump, as the president of America, will sustain the support of America, at the back of Ukraine against Russia.
All right, let's come back home and let's move to the next talking point. We're looking at the House of Reps probe, where the House of Representatives has launched an investigation into the non-delivery of 2,000 tractors, 100 combined harvesters promised by President Bola Tinubu in 2023. The equipment valued at £70 million $70 million and 2.98 billion naira were to be delivered under the Presidential Food Security Initiative and the Renewed Hope Agricultural Mechanization Drive. But the House decision to probe this initiative followed the motion moved by Saba Adam of APC Kwara on Tuesday during plenary. In his motion, Adam noted that the farm equipment had not been delivered, stressing the need to investigate the entire procurement process. He stated that the agreement, if properly implemented, would have significant benefit for the country, including increased agricultural production, technology transfer, and reduction of foreign currency expenditure on already made equipment due to the growth of local production. Looking at this, do you smell any fraud in this matter?
Well, thank you so much. I am no longer taken, by surprise when National Assembly are coming up with a probe or a panel of inquiry into one contract or the other, either from one ministry, department, or agencies of government. It is ordinarily part of their oversight function. But my worry is this. The previous investigation that they have done, that are landmark, that generated national discourse, debate, national and public outcry. We have cases of the Niger Delta that were investigated, that even the MD then almost collapsed, and so many other things. We have cases like that under the House Committee on NDDC, what have you, that run into billions. And at the end of the day, what do we see? Up to now, nobody was brought, to book. Nobody has been convicted or jailed. So my question is, what is the outcome? Was it made known? It's only the noise when they are just saying they are debating, they are asking that we hear, and after a while, from record without prejudice. It's just that when the people need money, they will just go and look at one contract, this and that, and say, oh, that has been done, that has not been supplied, and let's dust it off, let's make noise, and let's begin to invite the MD, invite the DG, invite the director, invite the minister, this and that. And after a while, you don't hear anything, even up to military, that they investigated. Has any one of them been prosecuted to court, to go to jail or prison? High level, high profile, corruption cases and so many other things. So for me, now end of the year is coming now, and maybe some people somewhere, somehow, without prejudice, are in dire need of money, and they know a contract was awarded. My question is this: such a contract that worth about $78 million, that's huge. That's huge of the public fund. The question is this: it passed through stages. Where was the House of Rep? Committee on Agri, when this kind of huge, contract was being awarded to be imported at the expense of the public, such a huge contract that run into several billions of naira and $78 million, what they ought to do to tidy it up is that for us to buy this thing, come and now establish an assembly plant that will watch this kind of, equipment in Nigeria, and not go and begin to send dollars to the company, regardless of wherever it's coming from, whether China, whether India, and all that, or America. Wherever it's coming from is not the issue. But when you look at the quantum of the national wealth that is going to that, $78 million is no joke. It's huge money. That will build a lot of factories under this assembly, in Nigeria. All you need to do is, before this is signed, are part of the clauses in the agreement for the company, wherever they are getting it from, come and assemble this thing, come and establish your factory in Nigeria. By extension, that would take a lot of several numbers of our youth and women directly or indirectly in terms of employment opportunity. Two, the cost of purchase at the end of the day will be cheaper than what we'll be having. Three, they will be talking about technical and technology transfer, because the people that will be begin to assemble and not just sell to state governors or whatever in the name of agriculture and food security will be Nigerian that will now be servicing. That will create a lot of enhancement to optimize our economy, and then the money will be within the system. But that was not done. They sent the money to them, the contract was awarded, now they all sat there because they are looking for, and I'm sure one way or the other, in the course of that, they must have collected something. Now, end of the year is coming to an end, and somebody is now looking for one thing or the other. They are now saying they are asking for what? The one they did in the past, where were it? So my question to them is this: where were you when this contract worth about $78 million, either to one company or to two companies? Why didn't you make it mandatory that for us to be able to do it, Mr. President, we will only agree that this factory or this company, wherever it's coming from, should be established. Let them come and do the assembly plan that worth this, because it is not a one-off thing. We're talking about serious engagement. We're talking about strategic transformation in agri and food security. So it is not 1 or 2 years. It's supposed to be a long-term relationship. So that, in effect, will now convince them to come and establish their factory here, and not only for Nigeria, and then they will do that penetrate West Africa.
Let's move on, because we have some other very big topics we're going to be looking at. We are going to x-ray the budget in the second half of the program. So let's just quickly take these ones for. Let's talk about the PDP crisis, where the big talking point says you didn't fall from heaven. Secondus cheats Wike. The former chairman of the People's Democratic Party, Uche Secondus, has said that God and some political leaders made the Minister of the FCT, Nelson Wike, who he is politically. Secondus spoke while accompanying Governor Sim Fubara of Rivers State to inaugurate 14-kilometer Bori internal roads yesterday. He criticized Wike for behaving like he fell from heaven. And according to him, the PDP made Wike, and so Wike must act accordingly. From your perspective, is Secondus stating the obvious, or is he calling Wike to order in a very divine way, to say the least?
Well, I must tell you frankly, Anthony, that when I was listening to Secondus, I was laughing. Why am I laughing? I see him as a comedian of the end of the year. Comedian in the sense that where Secondus, the same Secondus, if were it not for Wike, would Secondus have been able to become the national chairman of the party in the first place? The history are there. And this is where I'm different from so many other people in this country. Okay? When you benefit from somebody, he's your Lord and Master. He's your Godfather. You don't see anything wrong in him. But the moment you fall out of favor and then you are now no longer on the same page, politicians could be funny, particularly in recent time in our country. Contemporary politicians, they are funny. And we should have a way, particularly the media should have a way of measuring them, of evaluating their statement, their body language, and so many other things and other. For me, the fact that you have fallen out of favor with Wike right now and you are on the side of Fubara, I don't expect such a statement from such a man. Because take it or leave it, yes, we all need each other. But what Wike has done for what do you call his name? The former chairman. All right.
Secondus.
It's nothing compared to what he has done to affect Wike. So all I could see yesterday are just their usual political statement. I think as from next year, people like us, strategic stakeholders should begin to look at these so-called politicians who just mess around. They make one statement in the morning, they are in one party. In the afternoon, they are on this different bed with a different political party. In the evening, they jump on the same another room with another political party. They dance from the two sides of their buttock and they speak from the two sides of their mouth. It is unfortunate. That is just the truth. So when I was listening to it yesterday, I was just saying, look at these comedians. How dare you say such a thing? Everybody needs somebody. But that doesn't mean that, if today, like they often say in politics, that there are no permanent friend, no permanent enemy. It's about interest. But whatever it is, I believe that particularly some of them who are politicians who have been privileged to handle and to hold one political office of national prominence, they should be careful what they say. Sometimes it's better to keep silent. If the media asks you, they were not forcing him to say that. He was just saying all kind of rants and making noise, as far as I'm concerned, because you are on the side of the governor now. If not for Wike too, The Fubara that we are talking about today, was he a politician? So these are issues that we must look at. I'm not saying Wike is an agent. I mean, it's an angel. Nobody is perfect. None of us is perfect. But for me, if somebody has been good to me, whatever it is, even if I'm going to comment, I will rather say away or avoid certain questions that cannot be quoted, because statements are like glass. The moment you drop it, it becomes something dumpy. You can't bring them together. The same former chairman that was making that careless statement, as far as I'm concerned, with due respect, yesterday, when he was frustrating for the same Wike single-handedly make him the national chairman of that party when he did not even merit it in the first place. So having benefited, having become somebody of prominence and so many other things, and today, because we are not on the same camp with him, no, they all belong to Rivers State. They will still go back to Rivers State. So we should be careful with this politician.
Right.
We should let them know, like I said, as from next year, we'll be having a national debate and discourse on bringing some of these politicians to be careful what they say, particularly in the public.
All right, well said. Let's move on to the next talking point on the desk this evening. The Corporate Affairs Commission, CAC, has said that it has registered over 300,000 dominant companies within a year to sanitize the nation's corporate registration system. The Registrar General, Hussaini Ishaq Magaji, SAN, made this known in an exclusive interview with the Nation in Abuja from October 16, 2023, when he resumed office. Looking at the fact that the CAC boss noted that the registered entities had remained inactive, failing to file annual returns for over a decade, he further stated that some of the companies pose risk to the economy as they could be used for fraudulent activities. Do you think this insinuation or this projection is good enough to deregister these companies, especially when we are looking at Nigeria trying to kickstart the economy of this country?
Well, with due respect to the Corporate Affairs Commission Registrar General, for me, I differ completely. Because a company that has not been performing for 10 years, how is it a risk to CAC? How is such a company a risk to our economy? How? Is it not those that are performing, who are changing, who are colluding, who are doing over-invoicing, who will get contract and will not supply, who will get contract and will not deliver, who will take money and then begin to do all sorts of things? Those are the ones they should deregister, and not non-performing ones that you have not found. Have you gathered them together as a corporate entity? You are in existence, you are making money because of the existence of this company. When they registered those 300,000 companies, they didn't register them free of charge. They collected money from them.
True.
So your responsibility and duty of care is not just to register. It is to ensure that they perform. What I expect is that if you find out that within 10 years they didn't perform, have you for one traced the address? Have you for one written them a letter? Have you for one invited them maybe for a one-on-one engagement to listen to them? What are their issues? All right? Why are they not performing? Why are they not filing their returns? You should listen to them. If there are areas you could be of assistance to further boost the economy, you should project and promote them and make them viable and make them stable. Has any one of them been found wanting? So the point I'm making in essence is, rather than deregistering those that are not performing without listening to them, without knowing what they are going through, because they are stakeholders. You are CAC, you are Corporate Affairs Commission because of those companies. So whether they are not performing or they are not, whatever, all you need to do is to listen to them, invite them. You can do that on zonal basis. The one in Southwest, you can use all the CAC, offices in Southwest to engage them, listen to them, and then issue a communique. Collect that across the socio-political of the country, and then bring it to Abuja, and then let critical stakeholders now sit down with you and look at it. Those that are not performing, what are the issues? Is there any way they need to register? Is it because the directors are dead, or what happened? And so many, because somebody who took his money to go and register a company, is interested in contributing to the economy and make money, and then be able to become, financial independence and all that. So for whatever reason, if such a company are not performing, you write them officially, be interested in their affairs, and then be able to see how you can guide and support and promote them. So for me, if they should deregister, it is those that are, killing the economy, changing in the name of performance, who will, get a contract of, ordinarily a contract that's not supposed to be more than 20 million, they will go and put it for 200 million. How many of them are CAC deregistered? How many of them have they withdraw their registration, certificate and then penalized? How many of them have they, in conjunction with the government, either ICPC or EFCC, prosecute to ensure that such people go or such organizations go under completely. There are several of them today that have questionable conduct, that are killing the economy, that are affecting the masses along the street. You get what I'm saying? So these are things rather than losing, leaving substance and chasing shadow up and down. For me, I absolutely disagree. That is the best that you could do. You get what I'm saying? So this
all right,
is just the way
let's look at this last story before we go for a quick break, and we will now, on the second part of the program, we'll be focusing on extracting the 2025 budget that was presented by Mr. President. But let's go to Edo State, where the big story talks about the Edo State House of Assembly passed a resolution suspending the chairman and vice chairman of 18 local government councils of the state for 2 months. The House also mandated leaders of the legislative arms to take over leadership of their respective councils. The suspension of the council chairman and their deputies was sequel to a motion moved by a member representing Esan North East 1, Isiboa Ade, and seconded by the member representing Akoko Edo 2nd, Donald Okogbe, when Governor Monday Okpeholo had earlier written a petition to the House over the refusal of the chairman to submit financial records of their local government to the state government. In that letter, the governor described the local government chairman's refusal as an act of insubordination and gross misconduct, and requested the House to look into the matter. Let's look at the decision, because when this matter came up for debate on Tuesday, 14 members supported the motion for the suspension of the local government chairman. 6 lawmakers were opposed to the motion, while 3 members maintained neutrality. For you, do you think that was the best move by the House members, suspending this local government chairman for 2 months?
Thank you so much. The question now is, does the governor by constitution has the power? That's 1, 2. Does the State House of Assembly has the power to do what they did? That's another thing. 3, did the governor write them officially to give account of their stewardship? Does he have the right to ask them to come and submit statement of account of activities and then giving them a timeline to submit? Have they forgotten that there's a new sheriff in town? Have they forgotten that probably by now those people have raised another pharaoh that might not know Joseph family? Have they forgotten that the past the immediate governor, Lucky, what do you call his name, is no more there? So these are things. If there's a new person in charge, and immediately he came, he asked you to give account, and then you decide to say, oh, maybe out of cockiness, you can't do anything, we are duly elected or whatever, this and that. No. Oh. It doesn't. And so the matter for me went through the due process. He wrote to them to give account, to come and submit report. They failed to do that. Then the matter went to the appropriate. If they are to do election in the for local government, is it not the State House of Assembly that pass it into law? If they want to appoint maybe a caretaker committee, it just say, is it not the State House of Assembly they said their name to that will ratify and approve before they will now begin to announce and inaugurate them or something? All right, and this is the problem with some of the politicians. Once it favor you, it is democratic. The moment it does not favor you, it is anti-democratic. They are beginning to look at, because the PDP are beginning to say they are trivializing the issue and so many other things. These are real issues. The man gave you a directive as a governor, as a new governor. He has every right to say, come and give account. You prepare your account. How long does it take you? You do not even wait at the point that the expiration of the past immediate governor is going. You guys should know that you should begin to prepare your account, that the new government can call you, because ideally we are supposed to give account, local government by local government, what he meant, what you have in house, what you have spent, what you account state.
But don't you think this contravenes the local government autonomy that is just being put in place?
No. You see, you cannot put something on nothing. The local government autonomy, in accordance to the Supreme Court judgment, is just gaining ground. All right, this in any way has not contravened. Even the local government autonomy does not mean that the local government people are, an end to themselves. It doesn't exclude them from accountability. It does not excuse them from probity. The governor is the chief security officer of the state. Take it or leave it. The fact that the money will be coming directly from the federal allocation to them does not mean that they will not. They have their local government auditor that reports to the state auditor. that report to the governor? Are they not reporting to the governor? Are they reporting to the president? So these are things. So they do not hide behind one finger to say local government autonomy. No. When we get to that bridge, we cross it. The question I ask is, does the governor have the power? Yes, he has the power because the box stopper is stable. He's the chief accounting officer. It's just like maybe if the president now asks, ministers now and director generals, chairmen of board at the federal level to submit report after he came on board, and they say, oh, because they said this and that, they don't, who born monkey? This is the reality. Let us call a spade, and we should not trivialize and begin to sentimentalize issues that are real. They should give account. In fact, if you give them 2 weeks, within 1 week, all of them should put their account together.
All right.
They were aware that they are going to do election. Aware that they lost the election immediately, even if they think they want to win the election. Since they lose the election, that's over 2 months or 3 months or something of that nature. Okay? So since they lost the election, they didn't know that they are going to go. I mean, the governor will go and that they are going to continue with the new person. That's how it's supposed to be. It's sheer insubordination, and they deserve that kind of suspension. So by the time they come back, then their head will be correct to be able to be accountable and be ready to give account of their stewardship. That's my take on that.
All right, let's just, for the want of time, let's just move into the next last talking point. We're looking at X-raying the 2025 budget, the highlights and expectations. From your perspective, first of all, are you impressed with the timing of the presentation of the 2025 budget? Then also looking at the highlights, and do you think the highlights it tallies with the expectations of Nigerians, knowing that the budget is 49.7 trillion naira budget, and at a joint sitting where the president did make the presentation, he said he was presenting to the 11th house. That was a slip by Mr. President, and it brought some laughter, as he said what he means is that all the lawmakers are going to be re-elected. So take it from there.
Well, sometimes, your sense of humor as a public affairs person, as a leader, you must combine that when the need arises. Because I watched him too when he said he's presenting to the 11th, assembly, and he said that was what was written for him. Yes, that was written for him somehow. So and quickly, because of his charisma and person, he brought in some sense of humor to say, well, he admitted that, well, this is what I saw here. But however, he gave it back to them immediately, and you could see that there was a loud ovation for them somehow. And that's by the way, but that is not the issue. The issue is that he has presented the budget. The issue is that the budget addressed critical areas like health, like education, like security, and then like infrastructure, which are key. And he emphasized that this budget is a budget of restoration, having, built some level of foundation now in terms of, repositioning, transforming, and then putting Nigeria on the path of growth and sustainable development in the last 18 months. That he's bringing this now to consolidate, for some of his policies now to begin to, crystallize and manifest, so that people can begin to feel the impact of what he intends to do for the well-meaning, and the good people of Nigeria and all that. So for me, most times it's not even the figure, that is, it's not about the 47 trillion or whatever that I'm looking at. It is effective and efficient, execution of this budget. It is high time that we begin to move away from, the era of budget padding, and then the era of, huge budget without commensurate, actuality or impact in the life of people. So it's been presented today. I've gone through it somehow. I think that's in order, because if you look at, the report from strategic government agencies like customs, their projection, capital projection or revenue drive for the year, they have even surpassed it at the top quarter as at September. If you check it from the angle of the federal inland revenue, they have surpassed it as at September, which is a good thing. And then when you look at the tax reform bill that is being presented, to the National Assembly, which ordinarily because of the setback by now, that will have been passed into law, that will consolidate, that will complement, that will help in our federal inland revenue generation drive to ensure that more money comes in, so that we will have sufficient funds to be able to mitigate, to be able to be responsive and responsible to the projection, capital, or recurrent expenditure as far as the budget is concerned. So for me, I look at it, the budget is quite okay, very, very okay. And then I look at the presentation today, the charisma, the way and manner it was presented. I believe that at this point in time, so far so good, even when people doubt the capacity, the commitment, the courage, and then the compassion and the character of the president, people like us believe in him, because I know that is a man that has been tried, tested, and can be trusted. Of course, in the last 18 months, particularly when you look at how it took off with the removal of the oil subsidy, that is biting hard on Nigeria now, as we speak right now, and all that. But the spiral effect of that is today, for like 8 years or 16 years, our refineries are not working. Today, we have Dangote refinery working. The price of fuel might be high, no doubt. 2, we have one of our refineries that have been dormant and moribund for years. The Port Harcourt refinery, one of the is working as we speak right now. So I believe that by this time next year, if not all, at least 2 additional refineries of NNPC will be working and all that. And so a lot is happening. When you look at the critical sectors of our national life, there is more interest now in terms of the foreign direct investment from foreign companies. Look at the Ajakuta steel that has been there for years. The same time we built that Ajakuta steel rolling steel was the same year that the South Korea built their own. That single one we cannot manage it as we speak right now. South Korea has 4 of that size that they are rolling. We should be with the steel company and the rolling steel in Ajakuta. If it's working, we should be feeding the entire Africa. With what this present administration is doing, if you look at the automobile industry, like the Peugeot and the what do you call it, Volkswagen, you know, the policy is looking at that direction to ensure that we bring them back right now, so that we can have our own assembly plant back here, and then we begin to, that will reduce cost of huge capital flight in the name of importation every year and all this and all that. So I believe that without prejudice, Nigeria needs to be patient with this present administration. Yes, it's biting everybody. The question I used to ask as we speak right now, there is no private or personal market that is customized for APC member across this country. All of us go to the same market. The same amount we are buying bag of rice, 1 mudu of rice or beans is what everybody is buying. It's biting everybody hard. But what is going to be good, we need to pay. But as we go into 2025, people like our organization, the Rebuild Nigeria 360 degree, we are upping our game. We are raising the bar. We're going to begin to engage critical stakeholders to be more, responsive, to make our leaders at all levels, from governors to senators to House of Rep and to House of Assembly and chairmen, to be more accountable. Every penny that comes to our state, rather than all of us looking at the presidency, we must make them accountable. We must ask them questions. We must ensure on our own, even if they are not providing that platform, we must create it. It's one key area that the Rebuild Nigeria 360 degree is going to work with a lot of civil society organizations, so that at that level, from the governor down to the chairman and councillor and local government, we must make them accountable, so that every money that is coming, we can measure the performance, we can measure productivity, we can measure delivery, we can measure service, and good governance to the life of our people. It's not the president alone. Everybody, including the minister, must be accountable. This is our own duty that we owe this country and we owe the system at this point in time for Nigeria to get out of it.
All right, let's end the conversation. It's been said that about 13 points plus trillion would be of deficit of the budget will be financed via borrowing. Are you worried about that factor, that clause there?
Well, all over the world, I am not an economist, but as a public affairs analyst, as a consultant in leadership, every strong economy from America to China, check them out. There is no country that is not having, when the need arises, borrowing money to finance your project and what have you and all that. Even the big person, the big personality, entrepreneurs, rich businessmen all over the world. The Dangote now, if they tell you how much Dangote is owing banks in naira, in dollar, in euro to build this refinery, he has to borrow money and all that. So it's not the issue of borrowing money that is the issue for me. But when the money is borrowed, is it judiciously channeled to the original plan, to the original project that is designed and borrowed for? There's nothing wrong about it. If you borrow money to do business, to do infrastructure, and the money goes there, for instance, if you borrow money to build road, for instance, and you build a world-class road, that in the next 10 years, you are not going to, there will be no pothole, there will be no patching. It's good. So servicing it won't be a problem. But my question is, when this kind of money is borrowed, are we accountable? Are there probity and
All right, that's how much we can take from our guest in the person of Model Abidoye, who is joining us via Zoom. He is the global president of Rebuild Nigeria 360. And that's how we wrap up our conversation this evening on the program, The Desk. My name is Anthony Momodu, saying thank you for joining me from looking at issues from Russia, arresting and detaining a Uzbekistan 29-year-old man for the killing of Kirillov, talking about the chemical weapons chief, to other issues that played out in Edo State, where 18 local government chairmen have been suspended for 2 months for refusing to adhere to the directives of Governor Monday Okpeholo, and to other issues. We also did highlight the 2025 budget that was presented by Mr. President today. That's how we call it a wrap on today's edition. I remain Anthony Momodu. Good evening.